Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Beth. I am a 37-year-old attorney living in the DC area with my husband. And for today's video, I have a very special swatch video. So this is the Pat McGrath Mothership 10 Moonlit Seduction palette. So I don't think I've done a swatch video of the motherships before. I just filmed a swatch video of this little guy from Pat McGrath, and of course I have other swatch videos on my channel as well. But this is only my third mothership. So I believe the first one I purchased was the Divine Rose, and then I recently purchased the Bronze Seduction palette. So I will kind of give you a look at those palettes opened side by side for comparison's sake. But yeah, this is the 10th mothership, so I thought it was kind of special for that reason alone. And then I also liked the imagery and the theme of it, I guess. So like I said, this is Moonlit Seduction. It says 10 moonlit shades of starry-eyed ecstasy. So I believe this is only on sale on the Pat McGrath website for the time being. It is $128. I think she might have recently increased the price just a tad. I seem to recall them being $125 in the past. If I do manage to get this up tonight, that might be pushing it, but you can get 10% off with the code Moonlit10. But that is a limited time code, so I'm not sure how long that will last. So for this palette, it says it has multi-dimensional astrals, shade-shifting duochrome, rich metals, structure-shaping essentials, creamy blendable textures. You can use it wet or dry, and you get 19.5 grams or 0.68 ounces for the entire palette. So it says, dance the night away in a decadent, dazzling, and discopulent array of hedonistic hues inspired by sensually starlit seductions under the mesmerizing moon. Nocturnal neutrals inspire glamorous structure in 10 warmly wearable shades with unprecedented single-stroke intensity. Regal, romantic, and rebellious, this intoxicating collection of next-generation formulas features smoky mattes, alluring astrals, molten metallics, and a sextatic duochrome. Sextatic, I think I said that correctly. Silky smooth textures glide effortlessly onto the lids, offering beautiful blendability with buildable, multi-dimensional brilliance. Fet the fantasy, define the dance floor, and dominate the day in modern nudes that inspire endless eye looks with divine dimension. I feel like whoever wrote that copy deserves some kind of award for alliteration. And then Pat says here on the quote, extremely versatile and universally flattering, chic modern neutrals with high performance technology. Apply sheer or build intensity. So on some of her palettes, she has like a kind of more in-depth recommendation for how to use the particular shades. She doesn't have that for this palette. I imagine that will come at one point. She does have a couple eye looks on her palette. So there's a cool, a warm, and a wearable editorial. So you can check that out if you would like. But yeah, that is really all there is to it in terms of what the website says. So just to give you a look at the palette, has her standard kind of mothership packaging. This is made in Italy, has an 18-month shelf life. It has all of the shades with their ingredients. It does say it is an eyeshadow palette specifically. It does have talc, and it does have carmine in some of these shades. So just be aware of that if that is something you are concerned about. Okay, so let's open her up. So I already opened it just to make sure that all the shades were intact. She has this little slip here of paper. It's actually just the bottom of the box, I guess. So that is where you actually have the shades. For my Divine Rose palette, I actually kind of cut up the packaging, which I regret a little bit. But what I did was I actually took that insert which it looks like she used to have gold as opposed to white. I cut that so it fits inside the mirror, which helps, you know, camouflage the reflection, but it also allows me to reference the shades. It looks like she has text on the back there, which I don't think I've really taken a close look at before. So anyway, so this is the Divine Rose. For the Bronze Seduction palette, I've kept it in the packaging. I liked the artwork of the Divine Rose as well, but I had just decided to cut it up. I'm curious whether, yeah, so this is just plain on the back. I feel like with some of Pat McGrath's products, these Mothership palettes I think are the same basic exterior packaging, which is one reason to hold on to the carton, because otherwise it's a little hard to distinguish them. It just says on a sticker here that it is the Mothership 10 Moonlit Seduction. Same, I think, with this one. It's a slightly different sticker, but same basic idea. So I think I was saying that it seems over time she has kind of, I guess, cheapened her packaging a little bit. The lipsticks, for example, used to come in like a similar box to this. So she's changed that, presumably for cost reasons. All right, you ready? But it's just something I thought worth noting. I mean, these feel identical. I don't think she's changed them. So here is your look at the Mothership 10. And again, as I promised, this is the Divine Rose next to it. These palettes would probably pair very well together. I don't see any obvious dupes, although I can certainly swatch a few just to see. And then this Bronze Seduction, they don't open flat, which makes it a little bit challenging to show you all three. Okay, so here we have Bronze Seduction, there we have Divine Rose, and that is Mothership 10. Was it called Moonlit Seduction? I like the way that Pat names things, but it can, you know, kind of get a little confusing at times because some of the names are, very similar. Okay. These cartons are almost like they're little like beds or whatever that I'm putting them in. Okay, so that is the palette, same basic form factor as the other Motherships. And I believe you get 3 mattes. So I'll just quickly run through what the shades are called, and then I'll talk about the tools that I use to swatch, and we'll get into the swatches. So this first one is Skin Tense Glow. That is a soft beige shimmer. We have Rosewood Romantique. That is a rose sienna matte. We have Platinum Dusk. This is a sparkling metallic anthracite. VR Sextasy. This is a vermilion with sparkling blue shift. So that is a VR. This is Astral, that's Blitz, and this is Astral. So these are all your special shades here. That is Astral Gold Lust. That is a sparkling golden champagne. Down here we have Extreme Nocturne. So that is a brown taupe matte. Bronze Devotion, that is a gleaming golden bronze. Plum Cabaret, that is a neutral plum matte. Blitz Venus, that is a sparkling golden quartz. And finally we have Astral Lilac Aura, and that is a sparkling platinum lilac. So I think I will swatch the top row and then the bottom row. I debated doing all the Astrals together, but I think I'm going to just do it by row. So for my swatching tools here, I'm going to do this a little bit differently compared to some of my palette swatches. I usually will use some kind of primer. I've used the Lorac Behind the Scenes and the Smashbox primer. I think for this one though, I'm going to use an unprimed arm, and I do both finger and brush swatches. So for the matte swatches, I have the Rephr number 2, which is very similar to the MAC 239. This is a natural hairbrush from Rephr. So this is what I use for the matte brushes. It's just a little shader. For the metallics, I had another one of these somewhere. This is the Rephr number 21, and it is a mix of natural and synthetic. Here's my other one. So I have purchased multiple so that in the event I use a shade and it just really stains the bristles, I can move on to a clean brush. In between swatches, if I need to clean them off, I do have the Sigma switch, so I use that. And then I just have this little Rephr 28. Sometimes I like the way that this performs better than the Rephr 21, so I thought I would just pull that just for the sake of comparison potentially. I do have a recent brush video on my channel where I kind of talk about those brushes and I do some comparison swatches and that kind of thing. And normally, it says that these can be used wet and dry. Normally, I use like this Tarte Maracuja Miracle Mist to wet my brushes for the wet swatches. I may do that, but I don't think I've swatched a palette. Like I said, I've swatched that mini from Pat McGrath, but I haven't swatched like a Mothership or one that has these astral shades, I don't think. But anyway, I do have this Pat McGrath Intensifies Artistry wand, which is something that is supposed to amplify the look of metallics and all of these like special shades. So I think I'm going to play around with this and see how it does. So I think that is it in a nutshell. Try not to belabor anything too much when I'm sure all you guys want to see is the actual swatches. So like I said, I'm not priming the arm this time around. All right, so I'm going to start off with some finger swatches. So again, this is Skin Tense Glow. Feels pretty creamy. That seems to have pretty good payoff. In the past, I haven't been as impressed with these kind of shimmery shades that she puts in her palette, like the non-special ones. The next one is Rosewood Romantique. That again is a Rose Sienna Matte. I'd say Pat's matte shadows seem a little thinner than some others I've tried, but they're still very smooth and creamy. They don't create a lot of kick up. Sometimes I think shadows are so creamy that they don't really kind of hold together that well. And the last one that I'm going to swatch before I put these on my arm, this one is Platinum Dusk. So this is the Sparkling Metallic Anthracite. And I will zoom in on the palette after I swatch it. I can see where I swatched that. It almost looks like, it's not a duochrome, but it looks like there was, I don't know how to explain it. It just looks like I kind of disturbed the top layer, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's give myself plenty of room here. It does make it a little bit difficult to reference the shades without having them on the palette. Okay, that looks promising, feels nice. Rosewood. Again, this is an unprimed arm. And then this one is Platinum Dusk. So far, so good. Everything looks beautiful. All right, and then we'll do a swatch of VR Sextasy. This one seems a little bit more crumbly in the pan. Really beautiful reflect though. I think a little bit more unique. I have the new Anastasia palette. Maybe I'll just do some comparison swatches at the end. Another really beautiful gold. Okay, so for the first shade, this is Skin Tense Glow. I'm going to go in with my Rephr number 21. See how this picks up. I don't mind having to use a finger necessarily to build up the shadow. I'm going to try the 28 real quick. I think my preference, especially for something a little bit more kind of basic like this, is that it would apply better with a brush. Okay, so how do I want to do this? I'll go ahead and use this artistry wand. The good thing about this is that it is pretty easy to get a very defined area primed. So same 28 dry brush, and yeah, I think that helped it kind of stick to the arm a little bit better. I'm going to try wetting the brush. And as I've said before, part of the reason I do videos the way I do is to have an idea of how the shade will best perform on the eyes, which is why I usually go in with a primer all over the arm. So that is all the Skin Tense Glow shade. So I'll zoom in to give you a better look. Okay, so that is the original finger swatch, dry brush. I think that's a different dry brush. So this was the 21, that's the 28. That is the Intensifies wand, and that is the 28 with the Tarte spray. I think that was also the 28. Okay, so that was it for Skin Tense Glow. And again, I'll show you the kind of kick up and everything at the end. So this is going to be the only matte in this row. This is Rosewood Romantique. Feels like a nice kind of silky matte. So no concerns there. For this next one, let's try the dry brush. That one maybe did a little bit better. I guess I'll just go ahead and go in with this again. So I'll go ahead and zoom in on these ones. So this is the Rosewood Romantique with the finger, and that is the brush. This is Platinum Dusk, so finger, dry brush, and then the brush over the Intensifies wand. And then we're getting to the fun ones here. I like to have the palette in frame as I'm actually getting the product on the brush, which is why I keep kind of zooming in and out, just so that you can kind of see what I am doing, you know, how hard I'm going in, that kind of thing. All right, so this is VR Sextasy. I'm not expecting kind of great things with the brush, dry brush anyway. You can see it is a tiny bit chunky on here. And, you know, I think, getting some fallout. So I think these shades are probably just applied best with your finger. I think the more you build it up, the more of that kind of blue shift you get, though, which is pretty. Just trying to get some of that flakiness out of the way. Really pretty though. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are really going to have fun with that shade. And then finally, this last one here. Talk about some fun shades, huh? Okay, so again, let's zoom in. So this was the Astral Gold Lust. So that was finger, dry brush, and then brush over the Artistry wand. This is the VR Sextasy. So finger, dry brush over the wand. And then I think I already told you about these shades. So we'll give you one more look before I remove them. All right, so I'm going to have kind of stray glitter everywhere, but I think that's just kind of how it goes. So the first one here is Extreme Nocturne. This palette does give me like Harry Potter vibes. Maybe that's why I went for it. This one is Brown Taupe Matte. So not a very exciting shade on its face, but sometimes you need those types of shades. This one is Bronze Devotion. It's kind of an antique gold color. So that one is Gleaming Golden Bronze. And the last one here is Plum Cabaret. So this is a neutral plum matte. So those are the first three. Like I said, I don't know if you can see the glitter on my arm still. Okay, so this is the brown matte. That is the metallic. And that one feels nice and smooth actually. Plum Cabaret. All right, and then we have Blitz Venus, which is a sparkling golden quartz. Very pretty. And Astral Lilac Aura, which is a sparkling platinum lilac. I could feel there's a little bit of a difference in texture, like the lilac one feels a little bit coarser to the touch. That's beautiful. And that, I think, looks like it's kind of more of a topper shade. All right, so let's do my matte swatch here. And not too bad. I mean, sometimes the darker shades are just a little bit harder to blend out. And I might just skip ahead to this other matte. So again, not too bad. My preference, I think, would be that there would be a like lighter matte in the palette, but I could probably pull in from some other palettes if I wanted. Okay, so going in with my dry Rougher 21 brush into the like golden bronze type shade. Yeah, I think with this one, you know, it's not really meant to be a super kind of impactful blingy shade, so I always kind of want every metallic that I put on my lid to be as foiled and metallic as possible, but that is not what every shade is intended to do. So I think I'm just going to try wetting my brush for this one. So yeah, a little bit more intense that way. And then for these other shades, the special ones, this is pretty much a dry brush. This one is definitely a contender for my favorite shade, although it doesn't really want to pick up on a brush. Try this one from Rougher. Yeah, I think for these, and this isn't my favorite, I guess, way to amplify shades. I find that it's just a little bit harder to use it on the lid over other shadow without picking up that shadow. Yeah, your finger might be your best bet. I'm gonna try wetting this 28 brush. I mean, in a perfect world, I would be able to get the same payoff with a brush that I can a finger without any fallout, but it doesn't always want to work that way. And what I've said before too is that sometimes, so this was the swatch over the primer, that was the wet brush swatch. Sometimes I will use a brush to get kind of the outlines of a metallic shade and then possibly go over it with a finger or something like that to really kind of amp it up. I think I might just go directly in with the wand for this shade, especially since I'm getting into the wrist wrinkles. That was able to kind of, okay. Yeah, so this is more of a topper shade, but if you can kind of pick it up and then pat it, you can kind of build it up a little bit more. Okay, so this was the Astral Lilac shade over, this was a finger, this was the Artistry wand, this was the Blitz shade, so that was finger, dry brush over a wand, and then here it was wet. This was a matte plum shade, Plum Cabaret, that's finger, brush. I don't remember too much how I did this, but this is Bronze Devotion, finger, brush, over the wand, maybe? I can't remember. And this one is the Extreme Nocturne. So that's definitely the benefit of having fewer textures in a palette, is that, you know, you can try fewer options to kind of capture everything. So there's another look at that one. All right, so I will quickly swatch this Anastasia shade that I mentioned against this one from Pat McGrath. So I do have a swatch video, dedicated swatch video of this palette. So this is the shade Peacock. So much kind of grungier, I would say, more teal. So not really that similar at all, really. Obviously the shine level and the texture is very different. All right, so the other thing that kind of stood out to me that I wanted to swatch, so I just wanted to compare some of these kind of not special shimmery shades, because I really like these for all over the lid. So the one from the Moonlit Seduction is definitely lighter. This one has more of a golden yellow color from the Divine Rose. And so maybe not all that different in texture. Maybe it's just the fact that this one is lighter. And like I said, I haven't swatched a Mothership before, so I'm not as familiar with how finger swatches compare to brush swatches for these palettes. Let's zoom you in again. There seems to be kind of more reflect in the newer one. Like the light hits it a little bit more, I think. With these shades, obviously. And then just for good measure, this is the one from the Bronze Seduction palette. So all very similar. I'd say maybe these two are more similar to each other, but I think you would pretty much use them in the same way. Just kind of looking back and forth to see if there's anything else I feel like we should compare. I kind of want to compare, let's see, this one from the Bronze Seduction. That one is Guilty Pleasure. And this one is the Platinum Dusk shade. The one from the Bronze Seduction seems thinner. Doesn't have as much gray in it. I'm kind of curious. So this one from Divine Rose, this is Rose Dusk, which is a metallic, but it looks similar to the, so you can see I have lots of shadow here, Plum Cabaret, or maybe even Rosewood Romantique. So probably more the plum shade. That could be a very pretty kind of 2 eyeshadow look. Or at least that, what is it called? Plum Cabaret could help round out that Divine Rose Dusk shade. All right, so I'll do one last comparison here. I'm going to compare Astral Solstice to, I want to compare it to Blitz Venus. Not too different, really. I mean, there's definitely a tone difference. I think the Blitz Venus is more opaque. Okay. So I think I have exhausted everything that is kind of immediately calling to me, but if you do have any requests for comparison swatches, you can let me know. And to the extent I can, like I said, these are the only 3 Motherships I have. I have that other mini Pat palette. I have the first Bridgerton eyeshadow palette, and I have some older ones as well that may be discontinued. I have her quad in, I think, Bronze Venus. Is that it? So anyway, I will be happy to check to see if I can accommodate any requests. But yeah, that's how the palette looks after swatching. It's certainly not as destroyed as some palettes I've swatched, although you can see where some of these special shades are a little chunky. So just for comparison, again, this is the ABH palette that I swatched. That Hope shade was already kind of partly broken when I got it. So anyway, so I should wrap this up so I can go edit this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these swatches. Again, let me know if you have any questions down below. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.